You're sure he's not saying bow ingot, like referring to gold or silver bars?
Maybe. I don't know that would be the best bow. Wow.
Oh my goodness. What was that in Link's house?
That was the hammer. Wow.
You know that thing I said where I wanted no weapon showing up at the start? Oops.
Yeah, and I mean, the hammer isn't boots, but it still helps things go much faster.
That's right. It, of course, does tempered sword damage, so it just will wreck a lot of these enemies right at the start. We did get a very quick map check from one of our runners. Looks like Eastern Palace and Tower of Hera were crystals today. I did not catch what Desert Palace was, though.
I totally didn't either. Good time to give a quick shout out to our trackers. They're going to be helping us out today. We got Miss Metroid and Iceman F1. Thank you in advance to them. And holy crap, we got a hook shot, we got a Houlihan, we got checking. No, that's what? Failed Houlihan? No, checking Lumberjack Cave. I totally missed what it was.
Correct checked out the Lumberjack Cave, and I believe he saw something, but I couldn't tell you what he did see. Looks like Kern and Saberwolf are both coming out of the Uncle area, and they're just going to go ahead and do escape right now, since they've got that hammer with them. A nice early start.
Totally. So I think Korek saw blueberries. Bombs, for those who might not know. Yeah, so... Oh my... Okay, Korek's dream has failed.
Well... He wanted the bow at about the last possible spot he could find it. Instead, in the woods, he's going to find it right away. Maybe not as great as the hammer, but still a fantastic find at this point.
Especially with the tree pull being arrows. I think it was 10 arrows too. No, 5. Someone's got an odd number, so it has to be 5.
Well, that works out nicely. And meanwhile, Zero Rush, down at these spots that are a 50-50 chance of getting bombs, he's repeatedly getting denied losing that coin flip. He's going to head over to the race game with a single bomb.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, you hope it's kind of nothing, because then you have to go back and farm more bombs, or... I mean, enough money.
Okay, so it's the blue mail over there. I expect when you're Zero Rush, when you're comfortable beating the whole game on green mail, you just say, okay, we're never getting that. I'm not spending a bomb for blue mail.
Not right now, at least. But yeah, no. You've got that comfort with low armor. You're not so worried about your health sort of thing because you know you can execution through it. Leave the blue mail behind. That's like, what, 25 seconds you save?
Yeah, that's a reasonable guess. Speaking of health, though, Korek just picked up 2 entire heart containers and the magic powder in Blind's basement, as well as a bee in a bottle, which is a great time for that sick kit check.
Bee in a bottle, I didn't see what kind of bee it was, but it is nice being in Kakariko. You can totally sell that bee for some extra cash. Maybe buy some bombs.
Yeah, if that ends up being the good bee, that's a free 100 rupees they get at this point. Korek gonna show that bee, or that bottle to the sick kid and get 100 rupees for the trouble. And Kern looks like set up the death warp rather than doing a save and quit. Is now gonna go ahead and maybe do the dark escape area.
Ooh. Yeah, that's always, like, good on Kern for doing that. That's always tough. There's no light cone in this one. You know, with or without the lamp, you don't get it. Standard, you do. So, Kern maybe forgetting confident skills. Could be either way. I'll be honest, I don't know Kern's playstyle well enough.
Looks like he's going to use that hook shot to almost echolocate himself to figure out where he is as he goes through. Zero Rush now down in the well. He's going to find a bit of money. Nothing else too interesting so far. Health, arrows, bomb capacity upgrade. Kakariko's looking pretty dry for these runners.
Yeah, but Lost Woods with the bow, I think that's kind of good enough. It's something. And a whole bunch of money, too.
That's right. And with Eastern Palace as a crystal, I think as soon as you're done checking all these dense chests, maybe you go to the South Shore, but certainly pretty soon I expect to see these runners in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, we might even see Eastern Palace beforehand. Just, again, one of those small, can I diverge a little from what someone else might be doing? Can I get a small advantage if I find this?
Can I put off South Shore until I have 500 rupees so I can fake Flipper and buy something from Zora?
Absolutely.
You know.
Maybe they'll find the Moon Pearl, can do it all at once.
It looks like Kern found a chest in the dark sewers. Or sorry, a key and a chest in the dark sewers. So he gets to go through all the way to the back and bomb open that back escape area.
Ooh, nice shot with the hook shot there. Really putting it to work.
The hard part about what he's doing is trying to find that key rat in the dark, and it looks like he might be able to manage that.
Oh yeah, he totally has that key. He's good to go. Just gotta find the door.
And I think he got it there.
Absolutely. So we'll see if this pays off. Found the map, so you know it's 3 items at least. But yeah. We got Korik in the dam.
Well, Kern found a shovel in the back, as well as a single arrow and some bombs. So we're going to hope for him that that shovel ends up being something useful.
Absolutely. We're going to find out now, I guess, right? So I totally missed what was in the dam. Did you happen to see it on Korik's side?
I believe it was a bomb upgrade or an arrows upgrade.
Zero Rush giving a quick shout out to our tournament winner, Andy, there. That text thing box. I play rando. I don't know what those things are called. We don't see it. Dedicated to our tournament winner, Andy, for having forgotten ether sometime in the Thieves' Den cave hole thing.
That's right. Korik looks like he used the bee strats to take out Mini Moldorm Cave. Sit back, relax, let the bee do the work for you. Get a lamp.
Is that like get a life? It's like the new slogan.
It could be, although we are just playing a randomizer here. But looks like he also found a power glove, so we are now a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access. Korik's early choices are really working out nicely for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great routing so far.
Although he is missing that hook shot because he hasn't gone up to Uncle.
That's true. Although, well, no, with the lamp, actually, so we have Dark World, or Death Mountain access, not Dark World yet. No, well, sort of. We can get in, we can't do anything. We're missing that Moon Pearl for it. But Death Mountain can get Paradox Cave, Spiral Cave, and go check Hera once you get it. Whole lot of stuff to do.
That is all true. Zero Rush, meanwhile, over in the Eastern Palace area, didn't find anything in the back of Sahasrahla, but that didn't look like normal arrows Korik just picked up.
That being in what, Ice Rod Cave?
Over in the Ice Rod Cave, that was a silver arrows Korik found. So every enemy now dies very quickly to Korik's bow might. I'm sure he's glad the bow did not end up in Ganon's tower.
No. On the way to get that, the arrow you saved for Ganon on Korik's side.
And that shovel, which I believe only ended up being about 20 rupees or so.
Yeah, a bit of a... not a waste. I mean, money is good until you have at least 600 and 750. You need Zora, Chess Game, Kiki.
Potentially Pyramid Fairy, but yeah, roughly in that ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
Korik's going to head over to Eastern right now. And he and Zero Rush are both going to hit the same little obstacle here, where they don't have the hook shot, so they have to loop around to the north to get the big key in that chest there. Not a huge time loss, but certainly one that could add up if they continue to skip doing Uncle and miss that hook shot.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, if Korik ends up going up to Death Mountain or something like that without grabbing it, it's doubling back. Not a huge waste of time, but when you're qualifying for things like this, every second counts. You have to beat as many people as possible.
That is true. Now, he is going to have the lamp when he does this dungeon. Zero Rush is going to be doing these rooms entirely in the dark, which, I'm sure he's capable of, but it's always worth keeping an eye out for.
Oh, yeah. And without silvers, too. It's gonna... I guess
it's okay. He'll have tons of health.
Yeah. Yeah. That room, though. That room, you gotta get the key. Not a fun time. Not a fun time at all. Echo Bowcate? That's what Zero Rush is doing.
Yeah, we can call it that. Kern is doing a check we have not seen from the other runners so far. With that early magic powder and hammer, he is going to check on the magic bat area. Now, did the other runners just have that slip their mind?
It certainly slipped my mind. I looked at it like, oh, we got the powder. I wonder when we're going to be able to check magic bat, forgetting we had the hammer. So, well, I mean, I'm not in here for a reason, but if it slips my mind, it could probably slip our runners' minds.
And, of course, for the others, it could be that they went to the village before getting that hammer and it just wasn't on the table. But another 100 rupees, not something you're going to turn your nose up at, since, as we said, you're looking for that 700-800 range.
Zero Rush down to 1 heart. Maybe going to go, jumping down, grabbing some fairies. Gonna pull out the bottle.
I think he's going to use some B-strats in this dark room.
That is a really smart way to do it, and I've never thought of it before.
I mean, at the very worst, it just takes out a bunch of the popos in your way so you can shoot at the Igor more cleanly. I like what he does here. He shoots an arrow into the Igor, and it sticks there in the dark, so that when the Igor starts moving, the arrow will start moving with it. Unfortunately, it looks like he might have lost track of that enemy.
Yeah, just gonna stand there and hammer and hope it walks into him. So, Kern, making his way down south, walking fast, taking out some mold orms. Gonna grab their power glove, their lamp. Still missing the bow.
Oh, that's right. Still hasn't been up to the Lost Woods for that. We may actually see him pick up the silver arrows before the bow at this point.
Which is very, like, it's one of those things you typically combine, but maybe the distraction of powder.
That's right. When you get that much stuff thrown at you in Kakariko, sometimes some of those other checks can slip your mind. Obviously, he'll be back there at some point, or he is not going to get too far into this seed.
Right. Definitely. So, Saber Wolves completed the South Shore route. Look like, so, our tracker shows no silver arrows. So, leaving out, not a absolutely necessary item, but it's one of those ones that you either find silvers or you have tempered, or you're very, like, one of those things, like, where it costs a whole bunch of time later on in so many places. It's just kind of one of those gambles. It's like, nah, nothing will be there.
Yeah, I expect all of our runners are capable of beating Ganon without the silver arrows. I don't think you enter this tournament without being confident in that. The thing is, when you're co-rec and you find the silvers that early, you'll have them for every boss, every enemy. For instance, these red Igors, he takes out in a single hit where Zero Rush needed 2.
Yep.
That time really adds up when you have them for the whole race. That could work in his favor. He may even think, boy, I bet no one else got those so early. I might have a lead from this.
Yeah, and I mean, from what we've seen, likely will. Kern remembering to go back up into the Lost Woods. Going to be very happy after finding those silvers. But yeah, even this fight. Correct. Taking it out way faster. Getting that bug net.
Bug net, of course, not required, but always nice if you do want to bottle a fairy or just want to throw out some extra little swag strats when you're fighting an Aghanim fight.
Absolutely. So, Phylene?
So, Felix.
We got some places we can go. We're generally, in the same place right now. People are kind of covering each other's steps. What do you think's going to happen next?
Well, it looks like Korek is on the way to dig up 20 rupees from the shovel. His next play, I hope, is into the castle. Escape's not going to give him a lot, but he's going to need that hook shot, and that's going to open up Death Mountain for him. And, I think every runner eventually is going to hit this point where they've got the hookshot, the gloves, the lamp. All of Death Mountain is open to them. Heck, with the hammer and the lamp, we know Tower of Hera is fully completable, and that's got to be the next stretch you go on.
Very true. Very, very sound reasoning. Yeah, there is way too much up there. I mean, Zora's available now by logic with the gloves, but very hard to kind of justify going to Zora when there's so much else.
You could fake flipper to the Zora area, see what's on the ledge, spend 500 rupees for an item from Zora. But without the Moon Pearl, you can't get those 2 items from the Waterfall Cave. And that's going to make this less appealing, especially when I feel like Moon Pearl's about to drop for Dark World access. So we might see runners put that off.
Hey, we could still find another glove upgrade and the flute and find it on checkerboard and the mirror, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I can live with that. That's always a fun one.
But also a cape and a sword. I want all of those. I want a cape, a sword, a pair of gloves, and the mirror and the flute. So some people might pick Aghanim first, go up the tower, and it'll be hiding the whole time in plain sight.
Over in Agina's cave.
Yes. Nobody did my moves.
I mean, much as I'd like to see them head over to Agina's cave, I don't think that's realistically a check you can do at this point when so much of the rest of the game is open to you. But look at Zero Rush here. He's going up the mountain, yes, but he's without the hookshot.
Yeah, so not going to get very far, but we'll at least have the save point. So, again, not a huge time loss, because they're going to have to go next. There's, like, 2 other things they can do. And with the lamp and the hammer, escape is just so tempting.
Oh, it certainly is. Korek looks like he's picked up his hookshot, probably just going to clear out escape right now while he's in the area, because you never want to leave a big batch of locations behind like that. And Saberwolf has made his way all the way through Eastern, now about to fight Armos. Did you catch what the old man had for Zero Rush?
I think it was only a heart piece.
Okay, that's a little bit disappointing, especially since we have so many hearts already.
That's like when you go to your grandparents or something like that, and they're like, oh, we have candy, and it's like, you know, either super old and stale, like taffies that just hurt your mouth, or like, I don't know, mints.
What do you have against mints and Werther's Originals, Felix?
I'm just saying they're not real candy. When you can have, like, you know, cherry blasters or sour keys. It's not the stuff kids crave.
This is true. Looks like Zero Rush did an alternative fake flippers than we were talking about earlier. Rather than go all the way down to the lake, he fake flippered in the swamp/dam area, which means he comes out right near the witch's hut, and he can trade in that mushroom right now.
It's interesting, too, because with the save and quit, kind of right before that, you don't like the item, you can actually reset. It's not useful this time, but since we have the powder, but you can then save the mushroom to do fake powder. Yeah,
and that's, you know, something a lot of runners would have to consider and then don't have to worry about when we get that nice early powder and mushroom combo.
Absolutely.
Saberwolf doing the same play here.
So Zero Rush is very much avoiding Hyrule Castle. No, this is open mode. I hate Hyrule Castle. I've been playing it for months. I'm gonna go everywhere else first.
It's okay, Zero Rush. You don't have to do all of Escape. You just have to talk to Uncle for the hookshot.
Yep.
Curran using some bomb and pot strats against the Popos in here. Maybe not so comfortable trying to snipe each one of them down with arrows, but he's going to have that easy 6-arrow Armos fight. What does Zero Rush get from King Zora?
A big old reset.
I didn't even see what came out of King Zora there. I just saw the black screen suddenly.
It was a heart piece. So getting that mushroom back, not because of the thing I said, but, you know.
And those 500 rupees. I mean, if you're going to potentially be hard resetting your console, that was the right time for a save and quit. Where is he headed now?
Probably Shovel. Maybe? No, that's from Sanctuary. Powder?
Magic Bat, where Saberwolf is right now. But if we pan over to Korek's side, he's got the hookshot. He's up on Death Mountain. You know, this is the new unexplored territory for these Forerunners.
Very exciting. What will we find? I don't know.
7 chests in Paradox Cave, the use of some bombs, and mini Moldorms.
Okay. I mean, like, in a literal sense, sure, but, like, what's inside the boxes?
I don't know, Felix. We have to wait for Korek to open them.
Okay, but what do you think?
I think there's a shield and a heart piece down below.
Okay. What do you think Korek's gonna find, you know, walking through this door?
In the realm of serious predictions now, I'm really hoping that Moon Pearl turns up. Quake. Flippers.
Come on, Mini Moldarms, getting in the way.
Rupees. Arrows. Boy, the search for the Moon Pearl is just ongoing. Flippers opening up more stuff in the overworld here.
Unfortunate fall there. So, we can double check what the old man is going to have on Kern's side and Saberwolf in just a moment. It was a heart piece. Like I said. I know you didn't say you doubted me out loud, but I knew you were thinking it.
Saberwolf getting badly bodied between those falling boulders and those dead rocks. This is aptly named as Death Mountain. Just one of the nastiest areas to run around in.
Absolutely.
And if he can double hook shot this one dead rock here, he might be able to push it far enough that he can get by, but it looks like he's just going to leave the screen and get them to respawn.
Ooh.
He has to be careful not take a hit here.
Yeah. So, I'm just noticing for the first time that we have the sword sitting on Spectacle Rock.
That we do. So please also give us the mirror seed.
I didn't even know there were bombs in there. So we found red mail at this point. That's pretty cool. Because Spiral Cave had another mail upgrade.
Yeah, it looks like Korek also skipped grabbing the red mail from the race game, as did Kern.
Ooh.
So, was that 2 dead rocks and boulders from Saberwolf?
Yeah, Saberwolf jumped down, went, I have 1 heart left. There's no way I'm gonna crushed. It was not the fall damage, it was the boulders.
Boy, can you imagine this game with fall damage as if there's not enough mean stuff attacking you already?
I'm sure someone's working on it already. Or if not, we just gave them the idea.
And that's probably even worse.
Yeah.
So, what did we get from Paradox Cave in total? We got Quake, we got Flippers, and a shield, but that doesn't unlock anything.
It's 1/3 of the way to Laser Bridge being logically accessible right now.
Logically, I suppose you're right. 20 rupees in that first room of Hera for Korek. So, okay. Now I'm starting to think Moon Pearl might be, in fact, sitting in that waterfall cave, locked behind the Flippers.
Could be. Very well could be. I'm not sure how... I'm okay with it. It's kind of funny. Because, you could minor glitch there if you had the Moon Pearl, but it doesn't want that.
Now, we've seen one of the 2 items already from Hera in that first door. And we've got the big keys, so Korek was able to skip the basement tile room. There's the single rupee, which is our second item from this dungeon. So no basement of Hera today.
You know, I'm okay with that. It just slows things down. As much as the runners may get a break, we don't. We still have to talk while they're waiting.
I'm okay with these runners going, fast through this seed.
Is this like... Are we on speed gaming?
Oh my goodness. You're right.
Perfect time to remind everyone that this ALTTP summer tournament is being put on by Speed Gaming. And while we have gotten through our first week of qualifiers, there is still time for you to enter with a cash prize of $4,000 for first place.
And I believe an $8,000 prize pool total.
It's very close, yeah, approximately that. I don't remember exactly offhand, and doing math is hard.
Math is challenging, but I can count to 3, which is the number of hits Korek needs to take out Moldorm here. He took an unfortunate fall off the top in his first fight, and Moldorm is just not cooperating with the hammer hitbox. There's finally a third hit, and those frustration pounds on the floor. But Korek's going to finish that fight off and get a second crystal at this point.
So we've got 2 crystals. That's pretty good.
And this is where Korek's route gets a little efficient. I think he can head straight to the Hobo and Zora at this point, if he wants, without doing any serious backtracking. Of course, he's going to check inside Spectacle Rock first, make sure there's nothing good there.
Of course.
But Kern is now entering that Moldorm fight as well, with Zero Rush close behind and Saberwolf dropping down to open that big chest. Maybe he hadn't counted his items properly, not realizing he's got his 2 already from this dungeon.
So, Korek not needing to fake flipper. We saw 2 other runners do it to get up, turn that mushroom in, check Zora. Korek's just gonna swim. Leisurely swim. Very nice. I thought for a second Korek was going to go check Agana. I got very excited. It's my favorite spot in the game for whatever reason. But
and the Moon Pearl could still be hiding out there.
I hope it is. I hope someone built like a fake rock wall in a cave just to hide a stone. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So Zero Rush and Kern did not do Spiral Cave earlier. Neither did Saberwolf, so they now have to backtrack across the mountain to walk through this cave. Korek did it on his very first trip up here, which might be slightly more efficient. But all 4 runners now have taken out Moldorm, got that second crystal at least.
Yeah, so we're on a pretty even playing field right now. Korek's a bit ahead, but I mean, until we find our next piece of progression, it's just kind of an equal place to be. We'll see if any of these runners opt to go check Agana. Otherwise, it's pretty much the waterfall cave. I think everyone but Korek has done escape at this point, or did Zero Rush bail after finding the hook shot? He might have bailed.
He might have bailed after finding the hook shot.
So the thing under the bridge, assume it's a man,
just gave an arrow capacity upgrade, right?
Something like that. Something nice, and I mean, the Hobo is like sitting on a cache of arrow upgrades. Like, it makes sense that business didn't go well. You know?
If the Hobo has so much cash, then why is he living under a bridge? I'm so sorry.
Oh, hey, that thing you said.
Well, let's move on to finding the Moon Pearl in the Waterfall Cave, which does give our runners finally Dark World access.
Yep, but since Korek's here, might as well go check what Zora has. You're here, you've got the money. Get to it, honey. I'm sorry, everyone. That was unnecessary. But anyways,
So there are two usual ways into the Dark World at this point. There's that spot down near Link's house that would take you straight to Hype Cave, or there's that spot up in the Village of Outcasts. A bit harder to get to, but you can clear Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town from there, and then loop south if you want to.
yeah, there's a couple of different routes now. You can do pod fully.
That's right, with hammer, bow, and lamp. That is all available. Korek, recognizing he doesn't have the money to enter Palace of Darkness right now, goes to pick up 300 on the ledge. That's a really good heads-up play that I know catches up a lot of runners at this point. You go, oh, I've been racing half an hour. Surely I've got 100 rupees to open up the Palace of Darkness.
I don't know that the runners appreciate you calling them Shirley.
Well, we have a map check in the Dark World. Looks like the green pendant in Thieves Town, the other pendant down in Misery Mire, and 5-6 crystals in Palace of Darkness and Swamp Palace. Swamp Palace, we are only a mirror away from being able to complete that fully, so I'm starting to look at that Pyramid Fairy play a bit suspiciously.
Yeah, it's very close. And given we need Fire Rod, Ice Rod, maybe Boots, Cane of Samaria, possibly a Medallion. Like, we need a whole bunch of stuff. It's so early for that to be viable. We still need... Never mind, we have that.
We don't need the Titansmiths anymore. They just showed up for us.
Yeah, I love when I'm about to say a thing and then I'm immediately proven wrong.
And you know, because we didn't have enough health already and we weren't safe enough with all that armor, let's just throw some more hearts at these runners as well.
Did you know dying in this game is slow? And we want
it
them
is
to go
slow
fast.
and painful and will set you back.
Yep.
Fortunately, I don't think there's much danger for that now.
Nope. Yeah, so again, quick recap. We're just missing the mirror, a sword. We know where one sword upgrade is. Both rods. And maybe a medallion, maybe some boots. Maybe no, we definitely need, no, we don't necessarily need flute. So maybe a flute or a book. We need one of those two.
We don't necessarily need either of those. Desert Palace being a pendant today.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So, all of our runners have mitts. The seed has been very clogged up.
There was definitely a bottleneck in terms of how you naturally routed this seed. There was, all this stuff you could do, but ultimately you had to finish in Death Mountain. You had to get the flippers to grab the Moon Pearl, and there was no way of glitching past that. And that kind of led every runner to doing it within a couple minutes of each other. Zero Rush coming out of that bottleneck ahead, it looks like. Going to be the first one into Palace of Darkness because I think each runner looked at this and said, yeah, that's the optimal play right now.
Yeah, Zero Rush, I don't think checked Pyramid Fairy, or Pyramid Ledge, sorry. No one's checked Pyramid Fairy yet.
I think he was over there.
Was he? It's been a lot. There's a lot
of brown on the screen right now.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot going on. But, stuff. We're waiting for stuff.
Well, 5 potential stuff available in Palace of Darkness. Small key in that first room means you can go straight through if you want, and that's what most runners opt to do. Unfortunately, without the mirror, you can't do what everyone wants to do, which is grab that first chest and warp straight back to the start of the dungeon. This is going to involve a lot of walking from these runners when they do this without mirror.
Absolutely. So you mentioned something that I'd like to get you to elaborate on. Maybe for some of our, newer viewers, you mentioned that Palace of Darkness has 5 items. How do you know that?
That's actually a fantastic question. And the answer is that every dungeon has, the set number of small keys and a map, a compass, a big key. And those items are all going to be shuffled within each dungeon. But then there's a whole bunch of other items that are just not filled in, and those are going to come in with what we call items from the pool. So that's how we count items in dungeons. We go, okay, there are going to be 5 things in Palace of Darkness that aren't part of that dungeon. 5 potential items these runners can get, and that's what we look for a lot when deciding where to go. Palace of Darkness with 5, a lot higher than most dungeons, and certainly more attractive in that sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of the ones that are available, Thieves Town has 4, Skullwoods has 2, and at the moment that's kind of it. So it's 5, 4, or 2 as far as dungeons go.
Are those really the only dungeons we can enter at the moment?
I hope so. If not, I'm making a fool of myself.
And I mean, we can walk in the front door of Ice Palace, but without a fire rod or a bombus medallion, we're not doing anything in there.
Very true. Good. So I didn't miss anything. But yeah, no, great explanation. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, so you can use that when you're trying to decide, where to go. What's the most likely to give you an item? Or not give you an item, but, have stuff. Item density is what you're looking for.
But of course, the way Palace of Darkness works out, in order to not lock yourself out of it, you have to get a lot of keys up front, and that's mainly what these runners have been picking up. This dungeon is just chock full of small keys, and the big key already. Zero Rush is going to hammer yump here, not only bomb jumping, but clipping through a railing at the same time, so he can do the Dark Maze backwards and route this a bit more efficiently since he can't rely on the mirror. Always nice to spend 2 bombs and get 3 back.
Absolutely. Maybe hoping for something like the fire rod or the mirror even. That would have been maybe better, but yeah, it doesn't hurt to get some extra bombs back, especially when you're as low as Zero Rush was. That hammer yump, as it is affectionately called, it looks really tough. There are a couple visual cues that you can use. It's not so bad. You guys can learn it.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of runners pause over and over and over on that screen. That's because the most common visual cues actually involve lining up parts of the pause menu itself with different graphics on the screen, which sounds weird and like it shouldn't be effective. But it's the safest way to do it, especially because you're running that jump on a time limit, and if you're not fast enough, the floor just falls out from under you.
Very, very well said. So, pod is the play. Well, for everyone right now.
Everyone's in here, but we found the red boomerang, we found a heart container. These things are nice to have, but they're not helping us advance through any of this race yet.
No. So, while pod may have been the most attractive play at the time, the smart play, as I like to call it, isn't necessarily the correct one because RNG is going to do what it does. So, it's an important distinction though. The smart play isn't always the correct one. You just kind of have to do your best.
That's right. And while I'm always wary when everyone starts to think the same way, in this case, when all 4 runners are going straight to Palace of Darkness in the Dark World, it is because that seems like it should be the play that gives you the best output. Saberwolf taking the intentional death there, I think just to regain some health before he does the back of the dungeon. Zero Rush and Korek headed very quickly to the back. We do have the map and the compass so far, so there is going to be an item plus that crystal on Helmasaur King.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see how these runners do in the turtle room without a sword. It's, the standard NMG, no major glitches, any % strategy is charge your swords, go in, spin, do some hammer mashes.
And in Zero Rush's case, it looks like you flip over 4 turtles into the same area so you can get them with one single hit. That was a very effective play.
Absolutely. Again, Zero Rush being top 20 approximately on the NMG leaderboard. Great player. You expect that sort of thing. Same with Korek. Korek's a very skilled player as well. Been playing for a while.
And so this Helmasaur King fight, you're going to need 17 hits on the mask with the hammer, and then just one silver arrow into the big jewel. Nice quick fight from Zero Rush. He's going to be the first one to finish this off and get a 3rd crystal.
It's one of our 5-6 crystals, just as a reminder.
Oh my goodness, and he got a heart piece with it, leaving him at the same 12 hearts he was before. Seed, game, please, the runners have mail and health. We don't need that anymore.
Yeah, this is one of those times. You wonder what's going through Zero Rush's head right now, because Zero Rush is thinking maybe, I thought Pod would be the play. I could have gone to Thieves Town or Village of Outcasts and all that stuff.
Oh, look where he's going.
Ooh, I wouldn't have done that. And that doesn't mean it's bad. I just wouldn't have thought to do that.
I really like this play from Zero Rush. You can go to Dark Death Mountain, you can get 4 chests in Hookshot Cave, 2 in Super Bunny Cave, and you can figure out what medallion you need for Turtle Rock.
Yes.
And you do this kind of on the assumption you're not going to be able to do Death Mountain in one trip. So get up there now, get those items, and figure out what you need for Turtle Rock. And then maybe you don't have to come back here until the very end of the game, when you've got everything to finish.
Absolutely.
Korek might have the same idea.
Yeah, that's why these runners are in this tournament, and I'm here talking about them. Those that can't do talk. I think that's the saying. I don't know. Just let me have this one.
I will absolutely let you keep talking.
Thank you. My foot is approaching my mouth slowly. Is that normal?
That is normal. Don't panic. Just let it happen.
All right.
Lean into it.
All right, sounds good.
Super Bunny Cave doesn't look like there was anything there. Korek did get off some very nice hookshot block clips to skip some of the intended up and down that the cave makes you do.
That clip was weird to learn. Basically, just don't be against the wall and mash hook as you push the block when you're pushing that second one, and you'll be fine. And then hold right after you start clipping.
That's right, and when that block is moving, it doesn't really exist, and so the hookshot can go straight through it and pull you to your destination. Oh my goodness. Did you see that Turtle Rock medallion?
I did not. What do we got?
It was Quake, so that dungeon is open to us. We just can't do anything without the Cane of Samaria, and we can't beat it without the Fire and Ice Rods.
We also can't open it without a sword.
You know, that's entirely correct, and something that often gets overlooked, as I think I've just demonstrated.
Those who can't do talk. Yeah. No, I mean, we know where a sword is. We just need a mirror.
That's right. Zero Rush now is actually going to go do that back of escape, or that escape sequence play that he neglected to do earlier. Suppose he has to do it at some point.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting play with so much available in the Dark World still. It's kind of a lower density check, but this game is about gambling and, maybe doing something you think your opponents won't to get an edge. So,
and I think at a certain point, you just have to say, right, I need to do this right now. I need to make sure I'm not leaving anything behind, because this isn't one of those 1v1 races we've seen in the tournament where you can just resign yourself to losing. You do need to finish the race, and that requires actually getting every item. It's not just, can I beat this one opponent? It's, can I beat as much of the field as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. You bring up a good point. It's a totally different mentality when you're playing in a large group race, because you're not playing to, I guess, beat one person. You don't need to have to know their tendencies so much. You have to kind of figure out a way to differentiate yourself. Or, don't get left behind. One of the two, right? As you were saying.
Exactly. So on that note, Korek is looking through all of Skull Woods right now, seeing if he can find any of those 2 items available. He, of course, can't finish the dungeon without both the fire rod and a sword to cut a curtain in the back half of the dungeon.
Now you're getting it.
Swords, man, it's like they're integral to the Zelda series.
Mind you, there are randomizer versions that do have swordless logic, but that's not what we're playing today. Contrary to the fact that no one has a sword for 45 minutes in.
You know, we got that hammer right off the bat in Link's house, but my weaponless wishes are sort of coming true with this lack of sword.
Yeah, the game met you halfway, I'd say.
I'll take it. Thanks, game. So Zero Rush is going to skip the Skull Woods check that Korek just finished, and looks like is headed straight into the Village of Outcasts. 3 items outside of Thieves Town, plus 4 in that dungeon if you want to complete it for the Green Pendant.
It's a smart play. You can't get to the back of Skull Woods anyways, so this is one of those situations where you can avoid a double dip. Maybe you find something nice in the first 4 chests of Thieves Town. Just kind of go, cool, that was good.
Well, maybe you find a sword over in Skull Woods as well. Korek just did.
Neat. So we've got our first sword, and we know where a second one is.
Yeah, and a cane of Samaria in the bombable hut in the village. But look where Kern's going. Without the cane of Burna, without the magic cape. I'm not sure if you noticed earlier, he's dropped a bottle into the waterfall ferry, got a blue potion, and filled up there so he can do Spike Cave without the recommended items.
Oh, it did not pay off, but it was I'd say it was a unique play. It's again, a differentiator.
A very unique play, and, at the very least, he doesn't have to worry about it now, where other runners, if they have to check that, are going to have to go so far out of their way.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a whole bunch of time in this game where you're like, oh, I can do this now, but this one's better. Or this one, has a higher item density. But the other one, if it has something, there's no good time. You just wrestle with these decisions. It's not fun. It is fun, but it's not fun.
Now, did we see the mirror show up somewhere for Zero Rush? I'm thinking it might have been up in the C-shaped house. And if that's the case, he might be headed down to the South Dark World area, not only to check out Cave 45, but to complete Swamp Palace at this point?
Very, very, very likely. I mean, it makes Thieves Town that much less inviting to finish. You got a crystal dungeon with 6 items. It's a good time to do it.
Yeah, Korek did also now get that mirror from the C-shaped house indeed. He also found out half magic was sitting up on Bumper Cave Ledge, which at this point you would not go out of your way to pick up.
Nope. Did Korek check Graveyard Ledge?
No, because he just got the mirror on his way back into town, unfortunately.
Right, so maybe we'll get half magic if he has cape while going into Graveyard Ledge. Who knows, but very likely not going to grab it. It's a luxury item.
That's right, and Cave 45, that Circle of Bushes cave, having nothing that Zero Rush is interested, he gets to check on old Stumpy.
Ooh. If Zero Rush goes into Swamp right now, we're going to have a very obnoxious Argus fight.
Oh, will we ever.
Menuing for days.
For days. The good news for Saber Wolf and Kern is that they're both in Skull Woods right now, and so they're both going to come out of this with a sword.
Very nice find. It's interesting that Zero Rush didn't go grab the purple chest and do the whole blacksmith chain coming down a swamp. Could go check that and come back in. Just making the decision not to do it. There are no objectively bad plays in a randomizer.
Turns out the right play is the one that makes you win.
Exactly. There's maybe some objectively bad plays, like Fighting Ganon without a Master Sword. That's objectively bad. Don't do that.
Visiting the southeast portion of the Dark World where there are no items. Those would be bad plays that I think our runners are above.
Yeah. Yeah, those are like... Yeah, no one would do that. I hope. But anyway, Swamp Palace.
Swamp Palace, 6 items, you said.
6 whole items. Swamp Palace is a weird place to route. And it's gonna... The decision gets a little easier. Finding that compass right there.
Tell me more about Swamp Palace routing.
I would love to. You see, in Swamp Palace, there's a place called the Left Side. And nobody wants to go to the left side of Swamp Palace, because it takes a while.
So yeah, there's 2 items there. 2 chests. 2 chests, not necessarily 2 items. But if you go through the back, you can get lucky, and you'll find that the map and the compass are on the left side. But finding the compass where Zero Rush did, Zero knows that there's at least 1 item there. What Zero Rush can do is go clear swamp, just ignore the left side, and hope that, you know, the big key isn't on the left side. Hope that you find it as you're going through the back, or just, again, ignore the left side, say it's a risk I'm going to take. But we might see it. Finding that compass is an incentive. It guarantees an item, or the big key is going to be on the left side.
That is all correct. I do think in this scenario, when you're still searching for a few items, including swords in Zero Rush's position, but also both the fire and ice rods, you probably end up doing the left side. But as I say that, Zero Rush is headed straight to the back. Maybe he does a revisit after finishing off Argus. Maybe not.
Yeah, I might be looking for the big key first. I don't
That's
know.
right. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, people have their preferences. I don't think there's like an agreed upon way to do swamp that is hands down the best. It's all preference. And a lot of this game is like, okay, if I do it, don't do left side first and something's on there, I can deal with the fact that I have to do it later. And if I do left side and it sucks, then I'm going to be angry. There's a lot of like, I'm going to avoid being angry at this game right now. At least for me.
Right.
That's how I decide things.
No, that's entirely right. And, you know, just to give an idea of how many options there are in the swamp, Zero Rush finds the big key in the room with 2 chests. I know many runners at that point would turn around, go back up the stairs, and open the big chest and do left side. Right at that moment, he's going to pass on that opportunity, go all the way to Argus, and then maybe dip back into the dungeon.
Yeah, I think it maybe depends on if Zero Rush finds the map at Argus, or if Zero Rush found it already. I totally missed it.
We're about to see it or not see it on his pause screen. He's going to be doing a lot of pausing in this fight. Why is that?
When you fight this dungeon boss without a sword, you have to kill things with a hammer. And it's funny for us, and it sucks when you have to do it.
That's a slightly sad but unfortunately apt description of this fight. Since the hookshot is the only way to get those puffs off of him, and you don't have a sword, you're gonna have to use the hookshot and hammer to take out each of these puffs. But did you see what Korek found out of that purple chest?
I didn't. I did now, actually. I have the tracker's lovely work here. It looked like the fire rod.
It was a fire rod.
Wow!
My goodness. That is going to be a boost for him, not having skipped that. He can now, he knows, clear out Skull Woods for another crystal when he's done here.
Yeah, might even go grab that sword upgrade first. Who knows? I don't know. It's interesting.
That's right. Now, despite all that menuing, Zero Rush did make it through the Argus fight. Single silver arrow takes out phase 2 of Argus, and that's another crystal. So now we're up to 4 on his side.
We got 4. Zero's going back in, though. That was the question that we had. How is Zero going to route this? We know it won't be a fire rod on the left side now. Could be an ice rod, though.
Definitely still could be. Now, I think every other runner who went into Thieves Town left after checking those first 4 chests. Saberwolf, on the other hand, is headed to the back part of the dungeon.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's a little more valuable to complete this one. The boss guarantees an item, I guess is a way to put it. The green pendant can be turned in. We still don't know what's on the pyramid, though, mind you.
That is true. So if Saberwolf does find something in Thieves Town, he is going to get, I think, a huge lead over the rest of these runners. But, of course, if nothing does turn up, that's a couple minutes of time he's sunk into this dungeon that the other runners probably are going to be reluctant to.
Absolutely.
Now, it's still got a map and a small key to find, so I think that just leaves one more item plus whatever the green pendant has.
Very true. Very true. So Zero Rush is doing the left side. That's going to take a bit of time. Korek's going through Swamp. We'll see if Korek goes to the left side immediately. Kern's doing the blacksmith chain. Going to end up with a fire rod. And Saberwolf is finishing Thieves Town. Finally, and why don't you give us a quick recap of what we're doing here today?
We are watching 4 runners in the Link to the Past Randomizer Summer Tournament Qualifiers. This is an event hosted by Speed Gaming, where we have, 3 weeks or so of qualifiers, and at the end of that time, the top 8 racers who competed in exactly 4 races spread out over the weeks, they're going to get to advance to an 8-person bracket stage with an actual cash prize for the top 4 runners. First of its kind for Link to the Past Randomizer, and certainly a new and exciting tournament.
Very, very true. Yeah, so qualifiers run till August 29th. You can still get in on it if you have not joined already. You have to do 4. Then the top 8 going to move on, play in the bracket stages, single elimination, but best of 3 series. And yeah, that's the tournament.
Now, Felix, at the risk of using a meme here, did you see what Zero Rush picked up in the left side of Swamp? Do you know what those are?
I don't. What did Zero Rush pick up?
He actually managed to find the boots going back into Swamp Palace, which I'm going to say was worth the time to do, regardless of if they're required for progression.
Oh, absolutely. Even this check right here. So now Zero Rush is going to check the Pyramid Fairy. When you get hit, you have a very small window of time to dash with the bomb. Normally, you're not allowed to do that, but for whatever reason, you can. But the boots, going back in for that boots already saves some time.
Plus, of course, now he can check the King's Tomb, he can check the Bonk Rocks, and should that Ganon Sour Biggie end up on the torch, he can grab that as well. All around, going to be useful for him to have those. Looks like Korek skipped the left side. I sure hope he heads back into the dungeon.
Oh, absolutely. Again, wow, that was certainly worth it. You were calling for a useful Pyramid Fairy, a sword, and an ether.
You know, I want to call that a vanilla sword, but it's the wrong sword for a vanilla sword.
I mean, it's a white, right? Like vanilla is always white. So I think it still works. I think you're not wrong. You're just not correct, but you're technically correct.
I'm not sure that's the best kind of correct here, but I'll still take it. Zero Rush looks like he's having a bit of trouble getting bodied a bit in the graveyard, but here comes the King's Tomb, Graveyard Ledge, Bonk Rocks check. You can string them together nicely.
This might lead to going to grab the blacksmith after, right back into, Village of Outcasts. Could lead to a fire rod. Korek's going back in.
Go ahead.
Korek's going back in.
That he is. That'll be very good for him. Now, here's the part that surprised me. I thought Zero Rush was headed up north to throw something in the catfish ring and get that item. By leaving it behind and hookshotting across the river, he's really making that an isolated location now. it's going to be a hard one for him to backtrack to.
Yeah.
Well, there's an ice rod.
There it is. So what do we need? We need... I think we're in no mode.
That is actually going to be go mode between all the runners very suddenly. You know, that's enough swords to finish this off. We have the medallion we need to enter Turtle Rock. We don't need a flute for Misery Mire. We don't need a way into Desert Palace. And hey, some of these runners have the fire rod so they can do Ice Palace.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Zero Rush is kind of presented with a choice here of, do I do more overworld things? Do I try and get into Turtle Rock? What do I do?
Well, now he's going to check on the Lumberjack Cave because he didn't do that earlier. Like many runners, he's waiting till he has the boots to check on that. But Fire Rod is going to be the crucial item for him. And locked in the purple chest after the Smith sequence, that's a tricky one to stumble upon.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what Zero Rush does here. Didn't save and quit, so there's a chance going back to Village of Outcasts. Yeah, that's interesting. Still needs that other sword. Knows one is on Spectacle Rock. Going to get the Dark World portal, it looks like. Could be on the way to go mode. Very exciting. Very exciting race going on here.
Now, of course, we only need the Master Sword to actually finish off Ganon and beat the game. But we know what will end up being the Tempered Sword for each runner, I think. We know that's sitting up on Spectacle Rock. And given the massive time save you get, especially in the Ganon fight, I would not be surprised to see some runners go out of their way to grab that final sword.
Very true. Actually, technically going up that way is one of the faster ones actually to get to the Turtle Rock entry. It just kind of depends on like your luck with dead rocks. So getting that sword on the way is definitely worth it. Especially if you're going from Master to Tempered.
That's right, it'll help you out in the Trinex fight as well.
To quote my good buddy Clifford, who I was doing comms with earlier this week, it is the single biggest damage upgrade going from Master to Tempered.
Yeah, I can get behind that. So Korek, fortunately, gonna head to the Pyramid Fairy, gonna pick up what is a Master Sword for him, since it's his second sword. He's also gonna get Ether Medallion, though that's not required for him today.
Ooh, Saberwolf is doing a thing. We know it's not the correct thing at the moment.
And did he skip Swamp Palace in favor of Ice Palace?
Yeah, finding that Fire Rod, going right into Ice Palace, just... Again, it's positive progression in that you need the Ice Palace crystal. We just happen to know that it's not the thing Saber's looking for.
That's right, and at this point, Korek, possibly Kern, possibly Zero Rush, definitely Zero Rush actually, are going to be looking to do that dungeon in go mode, which takes what, about half the time? If you don't have to stop for chests along the way?
Oh, I think it's like a third of the time. Getting back up to that right side, if you don't find a key immediately, it's not quick. It's not quick at all. But, yeah, no key in the first chest. So Korek is checking the King's Tomb, which means Korek is going to find the Ice Rod, which means... Well, I'll let you say. I don't want to take that away from you.
Korek is going to enter a mode where he gets to go straight to the end of the game, pretty much bypassing all the normal checks, just grabbing keys and running to the end. And because he's going, we call it, I think it's go mode?
No, they have the bow when they do this, so it's bow mode.
I'm not certain that's right, but we'll call it go mode, and Korek realizes he's in that. Almost does a save and quit, and I think he realized it's got to be faster to just run straight to the forest in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. Without the flute, you need to get back to finish Skull Woods.
So at this point, what is Korek's path? He gets to go straight to the back of Skullwoods, since he cleared out the front. He gets to then do Ice Palace in go mode, skipping everything along the way. Pick up a sword, do Turtle Rock, and then Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, so unfortunately Zero Rush has taken a dip into Thieves Town. I think at the moment Korek's in the lead. It's Korek's race to kind of lose. I'm not saying Korek is guaranteed to win, but Korek is set up the best at this moment.
That's right. And to answer a question I see popping up in chat, we do not need the flute for this seed, because much as it's convenient to get around with and in general one of the best movement items, the flute is only needed if you have to get into Misery Mire or potentially Desert Palace. With those being pendants, we don't need them to open Ganon's Tower, so we're just not going to go into them today.
Yeah, it's always a great seed when you can avoid some pendant dungeons, and you know you can because you didn't find items instead of having to make the decision not to go into them. So we hope Zero Rush after this does the blacksmith chain right there to do it. Oh yeah, we know unfortunately Thieves Town is not the correct play right now. Ooh, Moth sticking to those spikes.
Yeah, Korek needs 8 hits with the Tempered Sword and or Fire Rod to get this hit off, and of course if you knock Moth into the spike it takes no damage, doesn't flash red. But slowly and surely Korek's whittling that health away. Fortunately all those hearts in that blue mail give him some resistance. Maybe not his best fight against that boss, but at this point, if you can take a 5th crystal, you go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. A win is a win. You just check the scoreboard, you have the crystal, you're good to go. You don't need to necessarily remember how good your fight was if you won.
In fact, you don't want to dwell on that fight in this position. You want to just keep moving as fast as you can, put that out of your mind, and move on, because you're in go mode, and for all you know, someone else might be too.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're never sure if you're ahead in this game. But save and quit, going to Link's house, running over, gonna swim to Ice Palace, catch up to Saberwolf in there. We will be able to see how fast the go mode is versus the non-go mode Ice Palace. Well, pretty much right now when Saberwolf versus Korek. Honestly, I believe that Korek might finish first in this dungeon.
It'll come down pretty close, yeah, especially with Korek having that sword advantage. So Kern checks into Pyramid Fury, gets that Master Sword upgrade, and we'll have to see where he's going. He's starting from Sanctuary, so we might see him do King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks, and Graveyard Ledge, because if he gets Ice Rod, that's go mode.
Kern is doing King's Tomb, which is unfortunate because it means Graveyard Ledge is a one-off check at this point.
That's right.
Ooh.
And Zero Rush has taken down Blind, but has done that save and quit, left the Dark World. He's going to turn in that green pendant with Sahasrahla. You know, he might get a sword out of this. That's about the best he can hope for.
Yeah. Unfortunate that it's not going to work out. Big 20. Just a couple of rupee tip on
Sahasrahla's precious family heirloom. It's worth $20.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's fine. I don't think Sahasrahla keeps it though, because you use it to activate the pedestal or get the Master Sword off it.
Oh, that's a good point. You do see all 3 pendants come out when you do that Master Sword pull, or that pedestal pull.
So it's more like a scavenger hunt. So Korek isn't going to get there first, but again, we're seeing you get to do the bomb jump, you just got to walk in, you get to fall and fight the boss. Saberwolf's going to get there first. Like you said, sword advantage might help out here.
And Zero Rush is going to take advantage of being up on the mountain. grabbing his tempered sword. I think he's just going to dip his head into Turtle Rock and check that first chest.
Yeah, if it ends up being a key that could lead him astray for a while, it's still, again, useful because you got to come back and do it, but climbing up the mountain takes time.
That's right, and Saberwolf is in a very tricky boss fight here, having to use that wonky hammer hitbox to get, I think, 8 hits on each of the gold stair puffs. You can also use sword spins, but that's going to do even less damage. It's a hard fight to win. I like what he's doing. He stays at the top of the room so that the falling ice doesn't spawn those shards, and he gets a bit safer.
Yeah, it's a very clever play. Plus it avoids, and this is a public service announcement for all you Link to the Past players out there, never hammer up. Never hammer up. The hitbox is terrible.
The hitbox is too tiny, but looks like Cold Stare chased him up into the corner and he wasn't able to escape. So on top of that unfortunate death, he has to leave the dungeon to get more magic and come back later. Korek's going to do this fight with the Master Sword. We'll see how it goes for him.
I wish Korek the best of luck. And when I said Korek might be finished first, I was not hoping for the fate that happened to Saberwolf.
That is one of the worst feelings to get, is taking the death to this boss, this Cold Stare fight, because not only do you rerun the dungeon, you can't come back until you've stocked up on magic from somewhere else. It takes the entire bar to finish the first phase of Cold Stare.
Absolutely. One trick that you can use is like mirroring outside and digging. But yeah, Saberwolf just saying, you know what, I'll come back later. Let's go check our swamp.
Well, this is where he needs to be for the boots. Korek is very close on his health here. Down to 1 heart, but he's going to finally finish off that Cold Stare fight, take that out, and get a 6th crystal.
Absolutely. Zero Rush, not finding anything in Turtle Rock. Going over, maybe the blacksmith finally. I don't think there's much else that Zero Rush can do over here, so it looks like the blacksmith, hammer peg, and hopefully the purple chest chain.
That's right. Now, I saw Kern down in Skull Woods, but it looks like he might have left that and is now headed over to the... Oh, to Ice Palace. Oh, no.
Yeah, so Ice Palace... I don't know. I think people tend to have a confirmation bias that Ice Palace has all the items. It's certainly one of those ones that when you find something in Ice Palace, you definitely remember it because it sucks. Ice Palace just sucks. It's probably my least favorite dungeon.
It's fantastic when you get to do what Korek did and skip most of it, bypass the developer-intended block puzzle, and just run straight to the end. But unfortunately, despite wanting the Ice Rod, Kern will not find it in Ice Palace.
No. Korek picking up that Tempered Sword, so Zero and Korek both have Tempered. We'll get to see Zero Rush do the Cold Stare fight in a bit with the Tempered Sword. But
That's
Korek's
right.
on the last dungeon.
He is. Now, Zero Rush is going in the right direction here. He's about to turn in that purple chest, and as soon as he sees that fire rod, he's in go mode. He'll know that.
Absolutely. And then just Skullwoods, Ice Palace, and Turtle Rock for Zero. And yeah, but Korek's plugging along. So we don't have a fun thing to guess anymore. We can't guess what's on the pedestal. We don't need it. No one's gonna go see it. It doesn't affect our lives. I don't know. I mean, we're out of production. We just gotta talk about this wonderful race happening.
I mean, we can talk about Turtle Rock. There is always a ton going on in that dungeon that I like to see.
Very true. Where do you want to see the big key?
I want to see the big key show up right at the start in Turtle Rock. I would have loved that chest right there, but there's still 2 on the right that he might be able to find it in. Because if you find it early enough, you get to skip the chest it's normally in. And what do you do with that key that you'd need to access it?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were being rhetorical. Yeah, you.
I was, except I want an answer from you.
Okay. Yeah, so with that key that you steal, you can just go on up. You can skip the big chest. You can skip, the vanilla big key location. It saves a whole bunch of time. Potentially skip Laser Bridge entirely, depending on where the next key is.
Well, okay, we got 3 small keys right up front in this dungeon. So, unfortunately, that's going to put the final small key, the big key, in its vanilla location, sitting over the pool of lava.
Can it not be in the chain jump room if you find 3?
Oh, it absolutely can. That would be a chest that I forgot about.
Okay, fair enough. I thought there was some fancy key logic that I was unaware of. And, yeah, there is key logic. There's a ton of logic put in this game. The developers worked very hard to make sure soft locks aren't a thing. Big shout-outs to them. What didn't you know?
Felix, did you know that the big key can be in that chest right there?
Even if you find 3 keys?
It absolutely can. And the good news is, that means Korek doesn't have to check the vanilla location.
That's awesome. It saves a whole bunch of time.
We'll see just how risky he's feeling today. He does have the option of not only skipping that chest, but skipping the big chest as well. There's about a 5% chance that a small key is in one of those, in which case he's in trouble. Otherwise, he goes through there and just finds a key near the end of the dungeon.
Now, can the laser... this is an actual question, and I'm not horsing around here. I genuinely don't know. Can the 2 keys be in the big key and the roller room chest? Can you not have a key on the laser bridge?
It is possible for a key not to be on the laser bridge, for all those keys to be front-loaded. It's just a very rare circumstance.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I think when you're in Korek's position in this race, you look at what all has... I was going to say you don't skip anything because you feel like you're ahead, but he's going to show me wrong there. He's just going to skip those 2 chests and keep running straight to the end.
Korek has 2 keys right now.
Okay, then I need some coffee, and he's in a fantastic position.
Yeah, so definitely doesn't need to go on that laser bridge.
Oh, that's right. You only need 3 keys to finish the dungeon if you don't have to grab the vanilla chest.
Yes.
So this is great for him. He doesn't even have to worry about doing laser skips, although I will confess I was kind of looking forward to seeing some.
We might get it from some other runners. They might be looking for that butter sword. Yeah, no, they're fun though. We might get to see some sweet item dashes, and we will.
Oh no, Curran has picked up his tempered sword, but look where he's going. He is headed to Turtle Rock without the ice rod. Maybe gambling that, or hoping to see that ice rod show up in Turtle Rock, which happens all the time, but is not the case today.
Yeah, so we might get some of those laser skips that you were talking about. But I know you don't want to see it this way.
Those are not the circumstances I want to see that happen.
You're a good person. I, on the other hand, am looking forward to the laser skips.
Meanwhile, Korek has taken out most of the Trinex fight already.
Yeah, just on the final phase. A couple spins and a couple slashes, and it's done. So, do we do the thing?
It's not the tournament. We're not going to use the bot, but we can do the thing. Go ahead and do the thing. Was that a flute on Trinex? Who made this mean seed? At the very least, we didn't use it for anything to get sidetracked.
No, but it is nice in the sense that we know that the ice rod couldn't be in Mire. Anyways, what I'm saying is there's 22 chests that can contain the big key for Ganon's Tower. These runners are going to search for him. We're going to go off Korek's count regardless of who else gets into the Ganon's Tower. I don't know that anyone will at this point, but just to lay down the ground rules. Get your guesses in, 1 to 22. We'll see who wins. See who can get that big key guess right.
And where do you like to see that key show up, Felix?
Well, I'll be honest. I saw Iceman pick number 7. That is my guess, of course, normally. So I'll go, without having seen any other numbers closely in the chat, I'm going to go with number 13.
I'll do you one better, and I'll go for number 14, Bob's chest by the conventional routing.
Now, of course, what is the conventional routing? Having
Well,
seen 2 chests so far.
Conventional play is to do what Korek did here. You go into the right side, you grab those first 2 chests, because they are so quick and you'd hate to leave a key behind. Then you do this left side of the dungeon, and you keep going left all the way through Ice Armos. If you don't find anything there, you go, you do 4 chests on the right, and if you still don't have the key, you go, you wait around in the tile room for 90 seconds, and that's your 20-second location, because no one wants to do that first.
You are absolutely correct. The only time you do tile room first is if you feel you need to make a big gamble to win. Well, you still need to do it at least 3rd. You still need a key to get there. No, you don't.
No, you don't need a key for that room, just to leave that room. Now, interestingly, because nothing required was on that torch, we didn't actually need the boots to complete this seed. They just, as we said, made up a lot of time for these runners, made things go more efficiently for them.
Oh, absolutely. Correct. Missing with the red boomerang. So we are on chests. So the torch does count as a chest. That was number 3. So we've seen 8, I believe.
That's right, that rotating firebar room, which I think might also be called the map room, is 8. And then this fire snake room, Korek's entering, will be 9.
So, it's a good thing I didn't go with 7.
And Korek's now going to enter the tile warp room, and rather than go right, which is what you do if this wasn't randomized, he goes left, he enters the randomizer room, which we call because, well, if you're not playing randomizer, you don't want to end up here.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to. There's some nice supplies and stuff, but at the end of the game, we find Binky in here. It could have been 13. You just had to go in a different order.
That's right. Now, he did open a few more chests, maybe looking for another small key so he doesn't have to try to find a second one at the top, but as long as he has 1 key when he climbs the tower, that is going to be enough for him.
So, 10s. Who picked 10s? Well, the first one I see is just J4K3. Well done. Again, there's no prize. Cat EP Netic. Well done.
I think the prize you get in this case is the satisfaction of knowing you were right today.
Absolutely. Feel free to lord it over the chat for the rest of this race.
That's correct, but well, so what do we still need for these other runners? Korek's going to climb the gauntlet to Ganon's Tower. Zero Rush is on his way through Turtle Rock. Saberwolf and Kern still searching for that ice rod on Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know when they're going to hit it. Saberwolf could go there right now. Needs to finish Skull Woods, so could tie it in with that. Kern is basically just... Ooh, Kern's going to find the flute. No, Kern won't find the flute. It's on Trinex. You need an ice rod for that.
That is fortunate, at least.
I said that earlier, and I totally didn't pay attention to myself.
And it's okay. We got 4 runners going on here. Korek has made his way through the gauntlet now. That being the long stretch of increasingly complex rooms of skeletons, and I believe they're called Zizaks, those horsehead enemies.
I just call them jerks. They're jerks.
I mean, that's a fair name, too.
Yeah.
And nice one cycle on the Lanmo 2 fight.
Very nice. Silver's doing so much damage. Gotta love him. Ooh, laser skip time on Kern's screen. Just walking right past. Didn't even need the boots.
So ideally, according to the logic, you have a cape or the cane of Berna or the mirror shield to get past those lasers and open those chests. But if you know what you're doing, you know how to line it up, you can just dash straight through them. Only the heads of the lasers actually hurt you.
Yeah, it's not that hard of a setup. You just kind of have to set yourself 1 pixel above the 1 or 2 pixels above the laser fires, and as soon as it shoots, dash, and you'll kind of like bounce off the wall, and you can walk up, and you'll be fine.
That's right. Kern takes the fall in that laser bridge room, but at least he has a fairy to pick him back up. Zero Rush finishing up the first phase. That's a nasty spot for the cane of Berna.
Oh, wow. Ooh, correct. Sticking the bomb on the wall. Not a fun feeling. I think all of us have done it, at least, I don't know, every time we play this game pretty much. Like, there's a good chance. It's easier kind of than it seems.
I believe I have done it many times, is the exact number. The Saberwolf takes out Mothula, so that is 1 more crystal down for him. Does still have to go back to Ice Palace, but at least he can do that in Go mode since he was in that dungeon before.
Very true. Oh, Karak got a poke on Moldorm. Moldorm's freaking out. Come on, Karak, you got this. With a dash through and a few extra slashes for good measure.
You know, that's 2 Moldorm fights that Korek just is probably feeling a little aggravated with, where Moldorm would not cooperate with what he was trying to do. But at the very least, he is in the lead of these 4 runners, reaching the top of the tower just as Zero Rush enters. He has really routed this seed properly, just going in the right order to all the spots he needed to be at. Items dropping straight in his path.
Yeah. Let's see. Can Korek get through the geometry quiz?
Ooh, a bad deflection, and 2 blue balls from Aghanim so far are making this fight hard, but I think on his 4th cycle, he gets through that. So now he's off to Ganon with Zero Rush and the other runners a long ways off. This is a commanding lead he's pulled out.
Absolutely. Final boss, Zero Rush in the final dungeon. Saberwolf going over to Graveyard Ledge?
Yeah, he might be doing Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb as well. I don't think he's done them, but in just a moment, he is going to get that Ice Rod and hit Go mode.
I gotta say, you know, not every seed goes well, but it looks like Saberwolf's gonna hit Go mode before Korek finishes, and that's, you know, at the very least, that's a good feeling. You know, you didn't do too horribly when,
That's right.
when you can achieve that.
Korek pulls out some cape strats for cycle 2, or phase 2 of Ganon, gets the 1-and-1 cycle down to a heart and a half, but at this point it shouldn't matter. He just has to avoid the final hugs.
Final hugs and those final bats. But yeah, Korek's got this. No problem. So, Zero Rush, going into the rando room. About to find the big key. Why, yes, we did, Ganon. We did find arrows in the light world. Ooh.
Oh, I love that timing with the torches. Set Ganon up right in the middle of the room. He just misses the triple, but there we go.
Well done. Well done.
So that fanfare finishes up. Korek's going to walk through that door and finish in first, not just of these 4 racers, but of all people running this race. He's going to finish in first with a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 57 seconds. So big congratulations to him on that run. That'll look very good for his tournament qualifying possibilities. We're going to see if we can get him in here to chat about that run for a bit.
It looks like he's in the waiting room. I'll pull him up. And we are joined by Correct. Correct. Well done, GG's. Congrats on first place.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, of course, not just first out of these 4 on the stream, but first out of all the finishers. How are you feeling after that blazing time?
Well, I think my my heart rate's just about back to normal after those 15 minutes of cooldown. I mean, every race is a little bit. There's always things that you second guess yourself on, no matter how well you know things could have worked out. There's just those little things that you just second guess, and until you hit that dot done, you just don't know.
That's a very good point. Any examples of those little things that were worrying away for you?
I mean, it really wouldn't have been that crazy of a play to go up and grab Graveyard Ledge, or even just do Village of Outcasts first to Graveyard Ledge and then hit that Fire Rod and go mode all of the South Shore dungeons. It really wouldn't have been that crazy of a play at all, but it looks like nobody did that. So that was one thing that I was wondering if anybody had done.
That's a good point. You know, we saw those boots pop up. We thought they'd be required, and they made you go faster, but you certainly didn't need them. Did they point you in the direction of Ice Rod?
Yeah, until I got the boots, I really was thinking just do the Pyramid Ferry and then turn back down to Ice Palace. But once I had 3 locations up there, it made me go up there, and man, was I glad. And at that point, I didn't know that they were required. So I'm like, well, boots are nice, but man, I just wasted a lot of time going back into Swamp Palace. So finding that Ice Rod there just felt really fortunate.
Totally get that. So yeah, to your point, you weren't the first that we saw anyways to grab the Ice Rod, but the combination of the Fire Rod and the Ice Rod, you were the first to have on our screen. Zero Rush took a bit of time to do the Smiths, went down to Swamp pretty early, but didn't take the Purple Chest on the way. And that kind of gave you you were the first to hit go mode as far as we saw. So, and I mean, with your first place finish, I'm willing to bet the first to hit go mode overall in this race. But yeah, well done, great job. Like, your execution was really good. I saw you take some extra angry slashes at Moldorm 2.
I think that might be the worst a Moldorm 2 if I can go with Tempered without falling at any point. Like, I don't think it could have gone any worse. Except for that, I stayed on the platform.
Yeah, I'll commend you on your staying on the platform and on hitting that rage mode. I think staying back was the right thing to do and just go, no, I don't care if it takes longer, I'm not falling here. That worked out.
So, just a quick update. We've got Zero Rush in the Aghanim 2 fight. Kern still looking for that Ice Rod. Going back, checking places. Saberwolf's in go mode, just finished Ice Palace, heading up to Turtle Rock, and yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Kern actually found the book hiding on the laser bridge, and that directed him over to Desert and the tablets, which, really doesn't help in this seed where Ice Rod was already available. Just really threw off his routing. He might be headed up there now.
Definitely. Correct. How does it feel when you don't have to go into 2 pendant dungeons in a seed?
I mean, that always feels good. The flute on Trinex, it's just honestly, when that flute dropped, I double checked when I switched to hookshot that I had 7 crystals, because I just maybe one of those things I did was a pendant, and this is just trying to troll me, and I lucked into the flute or something. But no, it was nice.
Yeah, definitely glad to hear. Yeah, 128.58. That's a pretty fast seed.
Yeah, especially for one that had Ice Rod go mode, those can sometimes drag out quite a bit. So that was kind of nice having those pendant dungeons inaccessible for the entire time for me.
Absolutely. So this was your second race?
Yeah.
I think you finished 6th overall or 7th or something in the first one?
I finished 4th out of somewhere around 30.
That was I think that was Wednesday night, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was commentating that one as well. Yeah, so I mean, we had the stats. We said this in the beginning. You were.
I can't recall the exact number, but
I have it. I have it written down. You were in 9th overall, so this win is like super helpful.
I imagine you're feeling confident about your position right now.
Yeah, I think being where I am after 2 races is about the best somebody can expect, and I say that, and I know Gerdo's even better than that after 2. But it's very difficult with Rando being Rando to have consistent results over 4 races. So having where I am after 2, it feels really good.
I'm glad to hear that. Zero Rush has finished as well at this point with an official time of 1 hour 35 minutes on the dot. And he's the second finisher overall, so I think that speaks to the lead Korek had throughout this run, that, 6 minutes later, the second person is finishing. Great job on that. We'll see if we can get Zero Rush in here as well to chat.
I just want to say thank you guys for the commentary. Really appreciate it, and for being on the restream. I know you guys are top commentators. Can't wait to listen to it back, and let you finish the broadcast. And have a great evening, guys.
You too, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. GG's again. It was a pleasure to watch.
So we will see about getting Zero Rush in here potentially. That second place finish, still very impressive, does put him in that good spot for the qualifiers, and Zero Rush is in here with us now. Congrats on that second place overall finish.
Hey, thanks. Good games. It was a fun seat.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting one. I guess, the fire rod was your go mode item. Is that kind of fire rod go mode, like, how does that hit you? I don't know how to put this into words properly, but hopefully you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. Like, what a item layout. Like, imagine if after Moon Pearl you had started at Beestown and just did a full clear wrap around Dark World. You would have been in go mode at like 45 minutes. But
yeah,
that, I mean, is a little ridiculous. But I'm glad I found Ice Rod first, because if I had found Fire Rod first, I would have done more Turtle Rock.
More Turtle Rock, possibly some Ice Palace.
Yeah, so that's good. My my Light World routing didn't do me any favors either. I kind of went all in on those fetch quests. They did nothing. Like, every decision I made in Light World was wrong. I went to Eastern Palace before Southern Light World, and then Southern Light World had Lantern and Silvers. It was just bad.
Yeah, but I mean, second overall means that you, at the very least, made up time. Everyone on the restream went into pod first. What was your thought process going into pod right after finding Titan's Mitts?
Well, with Titan Mitts and the items we had, nothing was open really except Smith's Chain and Dark Death Mountain, compared to like all of Dark World, and you had to go to Village anyway at some point, so it made sense to wait on Smith's, and Pod was right there. Without the flute, without the flute and without Agony Dead, it's kind of a pain to get back to Pod, and it's kind of dangerous to skip it when it's full clearable and it's a crystal, because there's a lot of items in there, but it ended up not having anything at all, so that kind of sucks.
Definitely, but yeah, as I mentioned, everyone did it, so it was not the wrong thought, at the very least. Like, you weren't alone in the thought process.
Yeah, I feel like if it was a pendant, you can make an argument for skipping it, but since it was a crystal, I don't know, skipping it then would be real risky. I feel
surely you'd expect to get something from a pod crystal play early in the race, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you didn't have a sword, you didn't have any of the rods, you were missing Bombo, so you couldn't go to Ice Palace. You couldn't do Skullwoods even if you found the Fire Rod. You couldn't do Turtle Rock even if you found Cane because of the sword. So there's a lot of things you could make yourself backtrack on.
That's
So
right.
it's
And I
easier just
suppose,
to do pod right there.
Eventually pod did lead to a sword when you found
Yep.
that one in the pyramid.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. I was kind of hoping for something better than that, but I mean, I'll take it. A good consolation prize at least. But I did left side swamp and only found boots, which ended up not being required. So those were probably overall a time loss, but they led you straight to the ice rod area. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and of the four we were watching, you were definitely the first one up into Graveyard Ledge, first one getting that ice rod, partly just because you were the first one doing a lot of those Dark World dungeons.
Yeah, the whole reason I went into Turtle Rock is after Pod and after Hookshot Cave, when I went to Village and found Mirror and Cane and whatever else was over there. Maybe it wasn't Cane, I don't remember, but I kind of felt really behind at that point because of how long the White World took me. So I just decided, screw it, I'll go and do Fire Rodless Turtle Rock, and maybe it'll be locked up there instead of behind Smiths or something. Because it's kind of running out of locations. There's Thieves Town, obviously, Skullwoods, and then the few mid spots, so I just decided to go for it, but it didn't really work out.
Yeah, it doesn't always, but sometimes it does. Like, it's always hard to kind of choose when to and when not to do something, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think the biggest mistake I made this seed was not routing Smiths in while I had Mirror and was standing right next to it. I think that's the thing that really cost me overall.
yeah, and again, it's tough. Do you commit to that, commit to doing a whole bunch of stuff related to that, or do you take the gamble? It's always a risk, right? Just to give a quick update.
Please do.
So we've got Saberwolf and Gannus Tower. We've got Kern about to get the Ice Rod finally. But what I would like to report is our third place finisher, Daring Retreat with a 137.57. But more excitingly, and unfortunately we did not capture this on the restream, Zelda Odyssean and He's Just a Boy both finished in fourth place with a time of 138.14.
I love ties, and there was some excitement in the chat over that. So, good work on both those runners' parts. I'm sure that'll get taken into account for the top 8 calculations they do.
Absolutely. So Zero, this was your first race of these qualifiers. Second place, pretty good. How you feeling going into the next 3?
I feel pretty good. I mean, I'm fine with second place. Like, obviously, I think if I can get second place every race, I'll be pretty good. But yeah, mostly I'm just aiming to do well overall. I'm not really trying to go for the win. Like, winning a large race is extremely difficult and risky a lot of the time because you have to make gambles if you want to beat other people who do make those gambles. But I don't know. I think my goal is maybe top 5 or better every qualifier, and hopefully that's good enough, depending on who's in each race.
That should probably keep you in the top 8 overall. Not officially, of course, because I don't know all the math, but just as a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you said, it's aiming for top 5 is one of those situations where you can play your game without being super aggressive and probably still finish up there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can, generally speaking, in a larger race, I can usually depend on execution advantages to just keep myself in the top, however many, outside of like just completely missing something or getting stuck somewhere.
Totally.
Yeah, and actually to speak to that, you weren't the biggest fan of your Light World routing, but when all was said and done, everyone hit that same bottleneck for the Moon Pearl, and you were coming out of these 4 racers on stream at the front of that. I think that speaks to the execution that you tend to pull off in these races.
Wow.
Definitely.
So did everyone else do all the one-off locations too, I guess?
I mean, no one did Agina. Agina's Cave was not a thing in this race, to Felix's chagrin.
Yep.
But the other one-offs, pretty much, yeah.
Nice. I was pretty upset at Light World after my horrible bomb luck in the bushes.
We
That
did
just kind of
catch
set
that,
the
yeah.
tone. It's like 3 transitions. It's really unfortunate because I kind of messed up my routing. What I wanted to do was start Link's house and then go up to Uncle, and then if I didn't find money or bombs, do Sank into Fake Flipper. But I accidentally started at Sank first, so I just did that first and then skipped Uncle.
Yeah, and Uncle definitely had the power here this time with that hook shot, unlocking basically all of Death Mountain for you.
Yeah. So I had to go up there twice, but I mean, with the save and quit point, it's not that bad. And I got to find out early that Mirror locked the sword. So there wasn't really a great time to go get that before doing Turtle Rock. I think I got it when I did Shot Cave, though. Around there somewhere. I can't remember.
That sounds roughly right. So just an update on what's on stream right now. Kern has made us all the way to Trinex and is going to do that fight and head into GT. Saberwolf did some right side plays in Ganon's Tower, now going left again. I think he's got the big key, but he seems to be out of small keys, so he's still hunting around for another one. Waiting for Bob to leave that chest alone before he can finish up and climb the tower. So he might be still searching for a small key for safety.
So, Zero, I have a question for you. Maybe it's not a standard one you get asked, but for new runners, people that are playing Rando, using it as the way to get into kind of Link to the Past, what do you think the best way to kind of progress skill-wise is? Is it through NMG? Is it through things like Z3R Sim? What would you recommend to new runners to, improve their game?
Well, if they're just kind of focused on Randomizer, I think just playing, because when you first start out, there are a lot of decisions on routing you can make, and some are correct objectively, some are a toss up, and some are just wrong. There are weird routing logics that you don't notice at first that don't make a lot of sense. Like even when I first started, I remember the first time I got stuck not realizing that you could get the checkerboard cave with just the mirror and find the Moon Pearl there. You could get the graveyard ledge without mitts, things like that. So if you're new and you want to get better, just play, and then when you get stuck somewhere, try and figure it out for a while, but ask for help. Z3 Sim is awesome. You can kind of that'll teach you the logic at least, so you know what locations are open where. But as far as how to get there, I think just playing it a lot is your best bet. And then once you can consistently, get under 3 hours or under 2.5 hours every seed, no matter what it is, that's probably when you want to start working on execution and strategy and individual room strats and things like that.
Awesome. That's a super comprehensive answer, and I'm sure all of our new runners, even people that have been playing this for a few months, are definitely going to appreciate. So thank you for sharing some insight and wisdom.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. And on that note, of course, we do have that Link to the Past Randomizer Discord that's basically running nonstop 24/7, full of people who are always around to help you out if you get stuck in something as a new runner. If you can't figure out how the heck do I get to Thieves Town under these conditions, someone's there for you. All right, so looking back at these runners still going, Saberwolf has entered the gauntlet at this point. Having trouble on that last size axe, or as Felix calls them, earning the name Jerk there.
Big old jerk faces.
But a nice conveyor ice room. Now he's going to move down left and shoot that Stelphos with an arrow, which works a fair amount of the time, but doesn't always work. I know a lot of runners prefer the fire rod in that room because it will always hit.
Yeah, definitely. So I think you typically have it out in, like NMG strats, so you can fire rod the landmos next.
That's right. Ideally, you'd use the silver arrows in this case, like we saw other runners do, but Saberwolf actually skipped doing Ice Rod Cave, which means no silvers on his side today.
So with that, I think I'm going to step out. It's getting a little late, but good games to all the other runners. Awesome tie, by the way. It's a shame that wasn't on the restream. It was an exact tie too, like same dot done. And thanks for commentating and tracking and restreaming and all that. I hope everyone has a good night.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping in, and great performance again.
Thank you.
On that note, we should give a shout out again to our wonderful trackers for this match, Iceman and Miss Metroid, who were keeping all four of those runners' item grids up to date, including, things like that that book, that Cane of Burna that Kern managed to pick up in Turtle Rock.
Definitely. They did a great job, help keep us in it and keep us informed, and definitely keep me from looking dumber than I sound sometimes.
I'll just leave that one there.
Yeah, just leave it hanging.
Saberwolf gets to the top of the tower, took that one small key up with him, and then he knows he can just kill a Helmasaur for a second guaranteed small key he needs to finish this off.
Definitely. You only ever need one going up. Good time, too, to give a quick shout out and say, if you enjoyed watching the runners, if you want to learn how to play rando, honestly, the best way to do it is watch some people. Give a quick follow to our runners. Give a follow to the different speed gaming channels. We've got 1 through 6. They put on a ton of great content.
Tons of tournaments going on all the time, not just Link to the Past Randomizer, but other randomizers as well. A massive Celeste tournament with how many people in it right now?
I think it was something like 100 people in the Celeste tournament. Yeah, I mean, on the Twitch page, you got Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Super Metroids, any percent that's going on, Super Mario Bros. 3, Mega Man X, the 24 Mavericks, that one's pretty cool. It's the first 3 Mega Man X's, so all the SNES ones. They only defeat the bosses. They don't bother going after Sigma. Pretty neat. But yeah, way more than I'm not listening. There's so many going on. So much good content.
And heck, as you point out with those Mega Man X races, some categories that maybe you haven't heard of in these tournaments, not just your average any percent beat the game things. And Saberwolf, now, I was going to say he's finished his Ega 2 fight, but I was a bit too early. Getting so many blue balls from that actual real Ega 2 in this fight, it's taking him a while to get through. Just a nasty trigonometry lesson today, but I think that'll do it there.
So when you were a kid and asked, what am I going to use this math for? This is what you were going to use it for. Should have paid attention. Sorry, I'm just mad.
Maybe we shouldn't say math. It's more like physics and angles of incidence and reflection, but
hey,
certainly still comes in handy there.
Physics is just applied math. And then chemistry is applied physics.
This is true.
Bio is applied. Everything is something else that's applied.
All right, so Saberwolf is going to do this Ganon fight here. We'll see if he can pull out the strats for a 1 and 1 cycle, but it doesn't look like it. So he's just going to need 12 slashes over 2 cycles of each of these first phases of Ganon.
Going into the corner, though.
And what happens if you hide in the corner?
You just spin to win. It's like a game show.
Yeah, the spin attacks count for double because they're spin attacks, and you get to land 2. So every spin attack counts as 4 slashes, which really adds up quickly. And we can see Saberwolf now into phase 3.
Well, even then, the spin attacks are actually a bump up in damage. So when you spin with the Tempered Sword, it hits for Butter Sword damage. So you actually only need like half of them.
Exactly.
I guess that's the same thing as kind of what you said, but you get 2 hits at twice the damage.
That's right. And unfortunately, Saberwolf is the one of our runners, as we said, who didn't find those silver arrows in Ice Rod Cave. So we're going to see him do this silverless with spin attacks. You have to spin and release that sword attack just as Ganon starts fading away. And your spin attack will hit him, do that extra damage, but it's not as much as a silver arrow, and you have to keep relighting that bottom torch. Felix, why is that right torch staying on for him?
Well, that's a thing we like to call the torch glitch. So if you light that bottom left torch right as it turns, or as it goes out, that's the proper words. Right as it goes out, before the right torch goes out, the right torch will always stay on. It gets in a glitch state. When you're doing sword spins on the final phase, all 12 of them, it really helps out.
Yeah, a lot less running back and forth, and a lot more magic saved, and a lot more potential to get 2 or ideally 3 spins off before the torch goes out, which saves the number of warps you're dealing with the whole time. I haven't been counting for Saberwolf, but I imagine he's getting close to the end at this point.
Well, I mean, at the very least, he's on phase 4 of Ganon.
Well, there we are. That's 12 hits for him, so he'll be able to finish that off and walk through the doorway. Curran, now having climbed the tower, is about to enter Moldorm 2 as well, so Curran gaining maybe a bit of time back there, but Saberwolf's going to walk through and finish officially in 9th place of all the racers registered today.
So, it's been a bit of time since we recapped. Finally, you want to catch us up on who finished in 6th, 7th, and 8th?
Oh, that's a very good point. And my window has scrolled a bit too much for that.
I can go for that if you're...
Please do.
All right, so in 6th place, we had Hydropower 78 with a time of 1:40:43. In 7th place, we had Mentos Man 8 with 1:50:49. 8th place, we had Warlink 05 with 1 hour, 55 minute, and 42 second.
That's right, and of course, there was no real 5th place individual in this race because we had that wonderful, wonderful tie for 4th place earlier.
So we're going to see if we can get Saber in here for an interview. I'll reach out to Saber. Valian, tell us what's going on with Curran.
Curran is in that Aga 2 fight where he has to hit the non-faded Aga 2 6 times total, but if he's really good, which it seems like he managed to do, he can reflect those energy balls from the other Agas into the main one. He's going to dash all around the room at this point. And now he gets to go and fight Ganon as well. We'll see what kind of place he can eke out in this race.
Absolutely. Down to the final boss fight. The long search for the Ice Rod has led to this. Kern, you got this. You got this.
Meanwhile, we are joined in here by Saberwolf, who did just finish in, I think it was 9th place, we said. So GG on that finish. How was that run for you?
Yeah, hello. GG guys. Oh my god. This was my worst run till now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh my god. I felt really very bad at myself. I did all the wrong choices.
I don't think it was that catastrophic. You definitely didn't like full clear the game. There was some things that went awry for sure. But a ninth place finish is still solid. We got some great execution out of you. Again, finding that last piece was a little tough. Some of the pieces in there, but no, it was still a good show to watch for sure.
At first, believe me or not, I forgot that I had the bookshop, I think, and I was looking for the moon pearl. So I went to the bat cave. Then I realized that I have the bookshot, so I went to DF. And from there, my nightmare starts.
You weren't alone though, actually, in going to check the bat. We had a couple of our runners on stream do that, but generally, with all of our players, you actually all went into pod within 30 seconds of each other?
30, 90 seconds. It was relatively close overall. Kern has, at this point, finished up as well, the last of our featured runners and 12th overall in this race with an official time of 2 hours and 51 seconds. So, and he is right on the ball. He's going to join us right now. Kern, you've just finished the race. GG, and reading your comments in SRL, I see a few lines. Do you want to elaborate on them?
Oh, did you read them aloud, or should I?
You can go ahead and read them if you'd like.
I just commented, I think I deserve that, and then I changed my mind and commented, I definitely did not deserve that. But then I settled on, I definitely did not deserve that, but maybe I did, though.
And what is that in particular in your mind?
I was giving myself a pep talk before this race, and it consisted of just telling myself over and over again, don't do anything weird, don't do anything weird, because I always do weird stuff, and it screws me in my tournament races. But it started off with I'm just going to do all of Hyrule Castle in the dark, and then that led me to do other stuff that was weird, and then the whole scene just became weird. And I thought it was working for me, and it was, if you ignore the ice rod. But yeah. So I kind of did it to myself, but the ice rod kind of did too.
Yeah, that item that can be anywhere except on Trinex, not a fun thing to look for.
Yeah, I think considering what I know, what I did wasn't too bad. The one thing that I really should have done is when I went to go check Bonk Rocks in Kingstown, after I got the boots in Swamp, I figured, maybe some people are going to leave this behind. So I wanted to capitalize on that, but I should have routed that together with, of course, the Graveyard Ledge, which I would normally do. I felt like I was in almost go mode at that point, so I just wanted to rush through the Crystal Dungeons.
I mean, you were in almost go mode. There was, in fact, only one more item you needed.
And it was that item that was there, yeah.
I mean, we've all done similar plays, I think, in Swamp Palace, saying I'll only check the critical chests, and maybe that'll do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the gamble was it was an all right one, but thinking about it, I wasn't thinking about how that would isolate that location. And then once I got out of Turtle Rock, oh my god, I just made it worse, because I was like, I went down dark. I went down Death Mountain Descent, which I have never done that in Rando before, because I was trying to reserve my warp point at Turtle Rock, and I just routed that so weird to try to save my warp point, which meant I saved Graveyard Ledge for the very last location, because you have to use the mirror to get inside Graveyard Ledge, which is why it took all those overworld deaths and stuff, if that wasn't clear.
We had other things going on, so we didn't dwell on that, but that does explain what was going on. And actually, that's a really insightful bit then, that that death outside of Thievestown, say, was meant to preserve that portal if you found the ice rod.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. I think I would have gone
if I had not tried to reserve the portal, which in the end, like I lost so much more time than I would have even been able to gain by preserving it, by trying to preserve it. But if I hadn't, I would have gone Bombo's Tablet first and then Graveyard Ledge chained with Catfish, so I would have been fine. but I had to make it worse by doing something weird.
Right. So if I had seen at one point, it looked like you were going to Bombos, and then you turned around and left Bombos behind, only to come back later. It was for that same reason.
Exactly. Yeah, because I realized, oh crap, I'm gonna have to warp, mirror warp to get there.
Yeah, that's certainly interesting insight, and that warp preservation is something that not everyone thinks about when they're racing through that. Certainly, it slipped our minds a bit as well as that was happening.
I think about it too much. It's never helped me. It's helped me once. Otherwise, it's always hurt me to try to preserve that portal.
So, we did see, Saber, you demonstrated for us and for the crowd a lovely silverless cannon.
Really?
Yeah, we thought it was pretty good.
I
mean-
did not find the sabers. Did any one of the guys find the sabers?
They all did. Unfortunately, they were in Ice Rod Cave. Yeah, one of those tough ones where you check it or you leave it because maybe it's not important, but your execution definitely made up for that for sure. Your silverless Ganon fight was really well done.
Yeah, I remember the Ice Road Cave very late in the game. So, of course, because of one thing which is very funny, the moment I went to that mountain for the first time, that rock was in my way.
Yes, I remember that one. That was the meanest dead rock I've ever seen. You were right to not charge into it.
Yeah.
All right, I think we will wrap it up there. We do, of course, have these qualifier races for the summer tournament going on all the time these days. As I bring up the schedule, we've got a qualifier race tomorrow afternoon at 2:15 Eastern on Speed Gaming 3, tomorrow evening 9:15 Eastern on Speed Gaming 2, and then 2 more qualifiers at that same time on Sunday as well. So, all the runners have to complete 4 qualifier races to try to qualify for the bracket stage of this tournament. They're going to be doing a lot of this, and there will be someone around to commentate it the whole time. Felix, do you have any other announcements for the end of this?
I just want to give a quick thank you to our trackers again, Speed Gaming, our runners. Thank you for entertaining us. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Nope, just GG's to everyone, and thanks for calming and restreaming and tracking and all that.
Yes, GG. Thank you for commentating and for the trackers also. See you guys in another race.
Well said. That's it for me. Thank you very much. Finally, and great working with you.
Thank you, Felix, and have a good night, everyone.
Good night, all.